If you came to this video thinking I'm about to tell you which one of these guns is the best, well, you're wrong. In this video, I'm going to make fun of you in true range bro fashion and tell you about the Stealth Arms Platypus, the Staccato P, and the Springfield Armory Prodigy, and let you figure out what matters the most to you. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel, the only gun channel dripping with that BDE. That's right, Big Dad Energy! Truly fantastic one for you today. How does the moon cut his hair? He clips it. Think about it. I'm David, and today we're going to talk about 3 single action only pistols that are double stack 1911s or even one 2011 because that is a trademarked name. But we'll start with the Springfield Armory Prodigy. This is MSRP of about $1,500, although this day and age you can find it for closer to the $1,300 mark, plus or minus. This is the most affordable option in the mix here, and it is built to a price point, but that all said, it's still super fun to shoot. You can check out my video review on it. This pistol was purchased by me at full retail price. Moving up the price continuum, we've got the Stealth Arm Platypus. This is a truly custom 1911 wide body. It takes Glock magazines, which is kind of neat. And this stands alone in the field because you can completely configure it how you want. The coloration that you see here is what I chose, and they were my picks. I chose every single color on it. I absolutely love it. Some of you guys don't because you like guns that look like peanut butter, and that's okay too. But I bought this gun as configured for about $1,900. You can get basic ones for about $1,400. And at the top of the pyramid is the Staccato P. This is the OG duty style 2011 gun. This is what STI used to be. This is the pistol that is widely thought of as having pioneered the wide body 1911 sort of thing, even though there are other examples of that predate it. But this is, for all intents and purposes, what a modern 2011 is thought of as being. All of these guns I've purchased, I'm not trying to convince you of anything, and I don't know your use, so you're gonna have to do some homework on your side in what's most important to you and how you intend to use one of these guns and apply that to the information that I'll share with you. Today's video is sponsored by Vetter Holsters, so thank you for that. And if you would like to sponsor the video as well, my Patreon supporters, there is a link in the description over to Patreon where you can get behind the scenes insight into what goes on with the channel, my performance stuff, all that can be found on Patreon. A bit of housekeeping as far as round counts are concerned. The Prodigy, I honestly don't know what the round count is. It was used a bunch when these guns first came out, and it has largely sat on the shelf. I managed to warp the optic plate trying to use 2 long optic screws, but it still works and I'm cheap, so I'm not buying another optic plate. But the round count, if I had to guess, is probably right around the 1,000 round mark. It's been totally reliable for me. There have been a couple issues trying to use 6-hour jacketed hollow points. It doesn't seem to like those. But all other types of ammo, and I've probably tried 6 or 7 different types at this point, has been totally reliable. Round count on the Platypus is about 750 rounds on it. I'm gonna get it to 1,000 rounds. I've been carrying it in a holster, and then I'll do kind of an updated full review on what the sucker is like. It has had about 3 issues with ammunition, but this is ammunition that is straight garbage. I saved a bunch of money buying certified bulk ammunition, and the ammo is just straight trash. In filming this video, that same ammo choked the Prodigy as well. Only buy good ammo, kids. Don't do what I did. It's very frustrating. But the gun's been very reliable. I've had no problems with it. And finally, the Staccato P. I bought this recently. It was used. Right now, it's very difficult in the area I live in to find a Staccato, a new one on the shelf, but this one was a 2021 manufacturer. I have no idea what the round count is on it. I managed to go through a couple hundred rounds yesterday. I'll be doing a full review on this gun, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't. You can check it out in depth. But this gun is $24.99 plus $160 optic plate, and it's had no issues with anything I've shot through it so far, but that's only 2 types of ammunition. So we're gonna go over the features of the guns, kind of how they are if you were to have them in hand. We're gonna take it to the range and talk about the performance characteristics of the gun because they all are a little bit different, and we'll kind of finish with sort of the intangible, like how does the gun make you feel, fit, finish, and does it support the price tag type stuff. But before we get started, have you noticed that all 3 of these guns have P names? And if you say them real fast, that's kind of fun. Prodigy, Platypus, P. Give it a shot. Try it out. So the guns, both the P and the Prodigy are both polymer gripped but steel framed 2011 designs. Modular, that means the plastic bit bolts onto the steel bit. They're both north of 30 ounces. This is about 32 ounces with this optic. This is roughly the same. They both have flush length bull barrels, and what that means is a big fat barrel. You can see how thick that barrel profile is going back all the way to the chamber. It adds a bunch of non-reciprocating weight to the gun, and it makes the guns just a little bit heavier. But the only all-metal gun on the table, which is the Platypus, has a bushing barrel, and so it's just got a thinner profile barrel going back to the thing. It's a little bit more of a pain in the butt to take apart because you have to deal with the barrel bushing. Some of you guys don't mind that. I prefer a bull barrel personally. As far as the internals are concerned, both the P and the Platypus both have tool steel internals, meaning that they're made out of hardened steel, and the geometry on all the parts is going to hold up for a very, very long time. Whereas the Prodigy, which is built to the price point, has metal injection molded parts. That's going to be like your grip safety, your manual safeties, disconnector, some of the fire control group, etc. It's going to be good enough if you are a high round count shooter, north of 10,000 rounds a year through the gun. You're going to probably want to ditch the MIM parts, but if that's not you, the MIM parts will hold up probably as long as you enjoy the pistol. As far as weapon coatings are concerned, the parts on the P are far and away the nicest because they are all DLC coated. That's diamond-like carbon. It is a super hard, super robust finish that you absolutely can't put any marks on. And if you do, they generally wipe off. It's my favorite weapons finish, and it comes on this, including all the small parts like the mag catch, the safeties, the hammer, the slide stop. All of that is DLC coated. The Prodigy and the Platypus both are coated with Cerakote, which is a decent weapons finish, but does wear out in the high parts. On the muzzle of the Prodigy, I'm starting to see some wear already. The Cerakote on the Platypus is very well applied. It's held up pretty well. It looks, you know, about as good as the day I got it. The holster did mark it on top of the slide, but it's been holding up really well, and I mean, it looks, in my opinion, great. It kind of looks plasticky. That's just kind of the way it is with Cerakote. As far as the triggers are concerned, these are all single action only triggers. So when I say all this stuff to you, I want you to appreciate that I am nuancing here, and these triggers are all great. But the Platypus absolutely has the best trigger out of the box, which in the middle price point, it has a trigger I would call a gunsmith style trigger, where the throw is very, very short and the break is super duper crisp, and the reset is very, very short as well. This is easily the best trigger out of the lot. It's got a medium curve profile, which is sort of my preference in the trigger game. I could see people wanting a shorter trigger, but then we get onto the other triggers with the Prodigy right here. It is an aluminum trigger, also medium curve profile. The pull weight on this one is about 5 pounds. It's only 3 pounds, just north of 3 pounds on the Platypus, whereas this one is kind of a creepy, it's set up pretty short. There's a little bit more over travel. The take up is dialed in nicely. It's just, you can kind of feel the squish of the MIM parts on the trigger as you pull it. It's not terrible. In fact, it's very, very good. It's very shootable at speed. I can't tell a difference, but if you ask me to pin my ears back and aim, I can appreciate the precision of the Platypus trigger over the other two. And honestly, disappointingly, the Staccato's trigger is really nothing special. It's in a similar class as the Prodigy. And a little bit of take up, very good weight to the trigger, providing a lot of feedback, decent wall until it starts to squish a little bit in the creep, and then it eventually lets go at about 4.5 pounds and a little bit of over travel. It's a very good trigger. It's absolutely fantastic. If all you're used to is striker guns, you're gonna say this trigger is absolutely amazing. If you're a cork sniffing 1911 snob, you'll be like, this is just okay. But all the triggers are fantastic. They're gonna shoot as well as you are. And moving on. From a spec standpoint, both the Prodigy and the P have ambi safeties, meaning you can deactivate the safety on either side of the gun. And the Platypus, at the time I ordered it, it was only available with a single-sided safety, but they now offer an option for the other side. Now, one thing about the safety design on the Platypus is it is not a large paddle style safety, which is what I actually prefer. They're just sort of elongated on the P right here. They're also elongated on the Prodigy. They make a nice place for your thumb to rest, and on a single action only gun, that's kind of a nice feature to have. On the Platypus, the safety profile is just a little bit narrower. It's kind of like tapered. it doesn't provide as good a ledge for your thumb to rest on. It's not an issue, but if you let me pick, I prefer the style of the other gun safeties. As far as the cases that the guns come in, that shouldn't matter, but people wonder about it. The Prodigy comes in an absolutely terrible, like a gun rug range sleeve. It's better than a hard case, I guess, but it comes with 2 magazines, a 17 and 20 rounder. The magazines are pretty cheap. They're available for 40 bucks if you can find them, but since they work in all the other 2011 style pistols, they've been selling out quite a bit. I've had good luck with mine, although I have heard of some issues on other ones. And the Platypus comes with 2 OEM Glock 17 round magazines in a very nice range bag. It's easily as nice as the Staccato range bag, made in America, as is the Staccato's range bag, which comes with 3 magazines. It's got 2 17 rounders and a 20 rounder. The Staccato mags are the most expensive, but still reasonably priced for 2011 mags. They're only about $70 a piece, which is a lot, but at the same time, competition 2011 magazines cost between $120 and $160. So just let that sink in. At least it's not that much, right? Talking about the grips, both the P and the Platypus have magwells as available options straight from the box. However, the Prodigy does not. It just comes with a bare plastic grip at the bottom. It is a very large hole, so it's very easy to get magazines to seat. However, you will tear up the bottom of your grip if you're trying to reload at speed. The grip texture on the P is honestly ideal for not tearing up your smooth, supple daddy tummy, but at the same time providing usable traction. It really is sort of a Goldilocks style grip texture. If it were a pure enthusiast gun only being worn in a race holster, I'd want the grip to be more aggressive, but if it's going on an inside the waistband style holster, this actually works well. The Prodigy is actually the grippiest of the lot. If you just kind of touch it, it just kind of feels like a medium fissure, but if you actually put a good squeeze on it, it kind of sucks the flesh of your hand into the little crevices there, and it really locks in quite beautifully. It's the best texture of the lot, but I did carry this gun for a bit, and it does kind of rub on your stomach a little bit. It's not too bad, you can deal with it, but at the same time, that's where it is. And the slipperiest of the grips is going to be the Platypus. This chain link style texture is actually pretty good on the front strap and back strap, but on the side panels, there's just not a whole lot there to really like bite into your support hand, which is where recoil mitigation comes from. So I kind of wish that they went a little bit harder on the sides. 2 more things and then we'll get on the performance, I promise. So the first is optic mounting system. The Platypus is direct milled and it sinks the optic down really, really low. It is the lowest of all of the optic mount solutions. Currently, they don't offer this for all the optics, although they're about to offer a full-size Holosun RMR style footprint. This is an RMR CC and it's been just fine on it. The plates on the Staccatos are honestly brilliant. They are made by Dawson Precision and they're really, really, really well built. Like, these are very good plates. There are little washers on the bottom of it that are intended to be kind of crushed, so it puts tension on the screws, keeping the plate mounted to it, so the plate's not likely to come off. Whereas the AOS style plates on the Prodigy are very good as well. They dovetail into the back of the slide. They're not going anywhere either. They just don't get quite as low as the Platypus, although they do sink the optic down decently. And the final quality of life thing is that both the Platypus and the Prodigy have 2-piece guide rods, which in my opinion are the worst style of guide rod for this, which means you have to unscrew 1/2 of the guide rod to take the gun down. It is very annoying, and more importantly is if you're doing a lot of shooting, sometimes the guide rods can kind of work their way apart and then cause the gun to lock up, which isn't good. Whereas the Staccato has a toolless guide rod, meaning there's a button on the bottom of the guide rod that captures the spring and the reverse plug and allows you to take it out without using any tools. That's why it's called toolless. It's absolutely fantastic. It's what I prefer in all of the guns if it's available in that length. It's what's in my race guns. It's just, it's a very nice style of guide rod. With that said, let's go to the range.
If you've got a fancy pants gun, then you need a fancy pants holster. That's where Vetter Holsters comes in. They have the light tuck, which is one of the most comfortable inside the waistband holsters. They've got the side tuck, which lets you bring a buddy for your gun in the form of a magazine. They've even got these other holsters that I haven't tried that look more up your alley, perhaps. And they also make belts too. Vetter Holsters.
So on the range, we talked about the bull barrels and what that means. All of the guns weigh about 30 ounces. The polymer gripped ones are going to be the softest shooters. They're a little bit heavier than the Platypus. The plastic in the grip actually deforms as you're shooting it, and the squish absorbs some of the recoil, so they're just more pleasant from a shooting experience perspective. They both also feel like they recoil the least, the Prodigy being the lightest recoiling, followed closely by the P. Platypus is by no means difficult to shoot, it's just stiffer, meaning because the frame is a stiffer material, it dumps more of the energy from the round into your arms and hands. So if you don't have a good squeeze on this, it'll kind of beat up your grip a little bit, but once you have the gun seated, it's pleasant to shoot as well. There is a ledge, and I talk about this in another video, right there on the outside, on your trigger finger side of the grip that is a little bit, it needs to be eased, honestly. And in a long enough range session, you will begin to kind of feel it, at least I do, putting a good squeeze on it just from the recoil, but it's still a very pleasant gun to shoot. As far as accuracy is concerned, all the guns are as accurate as I am. I did not get out of bench rest because I do not care about bench rest accuracy. Standing unsupported, I was able to put up the same group size with all the guns, which is good enough for me. The better trigger was able to generally get better accuracy for me from the Platypus. The bushing barrel does a great job. Putting the same amount of focus, I could not get, any better accuracy from one gun or the other, but a small amount of focus in a practical context, I was easier to be accurate with the Platypus, given its more predictable, better, lighter trigger than the other two guns. But going at speed, the guns are basically the same as far as I was concerned. Because all three guns are full gripped, full size guns, they would all work great in a holster for a competitive use or a home defense, even concealed carry. They all kind of work in that space if you're comfortable with them doing so. One thing that's worth noting for manipulations, charging the gun, clearing malfunctions, is the serrations on both the Prodigy and the Staccato are very, very nice, whereas the front serrations on the Platypus are very, very light. They're just, they're not really there. They're very slippery. For home defense use, any of these guns work fantastic. If you made me pick one for competition, just out of the box I don't like to fuss with guns. If you're somebody who likes to tune on guns and stuff like that, I think out of the box, the Staccato is probably set up the best for like a competitive use because all the internals are tool steel. They're not going to break with high rounds, and the DLC coating on all the small parts is not going to wear out. It's a good enough trigger. It's got a magwell on it out of the box. So that sounds ridiculous to say. I realize it's $1,000 more than the Prodigy and $600-700 more than the Platypus, but at the same time, with a competitive gun, it's just the hassle of keeping it in operation. The DLC coatings on the gun are better. The ease of the takedown with the toolless guide rod is nicer. I like taking down bull barrels more than I like taking down bushing barrels. It's just very easy to live with from it's a hassle to live with the 2011. They take more time to clean. They take more time to take apart. They're just generally a little bit more effort to keep in operation, and the setup from the P is probably going to take the least amount of effort to keep going. The Platypus is just a few ounces lighter and it's just a little bit jumpier, which is why I didn't throw it in the ring for the competitive guns. I would probably use a light mounted on the Platypus in order to give it just a little bit more weight to make it kind of keep up with the bigger boys. In fact, you might need a light anyway to get the holsters to work, because I have a square guard and a full length rail. There's not a lot of holsters that will take this gun out of the box, so that if you use the light holsters, then you at least have that going for you. And finally, closing out with sort of the pride in ownership of all of these guns. The Prodigy, if you just grab it and manipulate the slide, it feels decent. The fit is a little bit looser slide to frame than the other guns, but at the same time, it still feels really, really good, way better than any of the service grade strikers pistols as far as the fit, finish, and feel of the gun. Trigger is very good. The safety is being the other thing that you're going to notice. It's just not as positive as like a high-end gun, but it's not bad in all seriousness. It's very, very good. If you're a casual shooter, the Prodigy is squared away. I realized that there were issues with some of the Cerakote slowing down the slides for some people, causing issues with the guns. Neither of mine have had that problem. I think they've got it addressed now at Springfield, but at the same time, it's not a bad gun. I actually really like the Prodigy. I think it's a great value. Moving into the Platypus, it does substantiate the price point being closer to that $2,000 mark. Just the case that it comes with, the quality of the gun and how it is set up, how you can configure everything about it. If you are a peacock, you can let that peacock fly with how you choose to spec it out. I've got like 4 or 5 different colors of Cerakote on the gun, and it came out exactly like the gun builder showed me it would on the website. The only gripe I've got about the gun is the 2-piece guide rod, really, and this one little ledge right there. Everything else about the gun is great. The weight is very nice for carry. I wish it were heavier, just a little bit heavier for competitive use, and I wish it had more traction for the grips for a competitive use. But for a general interest gun, for a home defense, for a carry gun, it's absolutely amazing. It's switched on. It absolutely feels like the price tag. It supports it and then some. I mean, they make everything on the gun in Ohio. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just a really cool gun. I'm really happy to have it. And the Staccato P, like, this gun is weird because it costs $2,500, but if you go on Instagram and listen to people, it's like, Staccatos are trash. You gotta send them to some place to tune them up. Like, guys, Staccato makes amazing 2011s. They are the standard for a 2011. It's just that, you know, all the high-end bros bought Staccatos, and then people who wanted to cork sniff had to, you know, spend money to make their $2,500 gun in some way cooler than everybody else's $2,500 gun to stand out from the crowd. That said, I don't find any issues with the Staccato. I don't like the plastic trigger shoe, but I do like the traction that it provides and the profile that it is. I think it's a really good trigger, honestly. It's just I wish that it was an aluminum and perhaps not this plastic trigger, but that's really, like, that's the extent of it. The DLC coating is fantastic. The fit, finish, and feel, like, it would probably be second to the Platypus. The Platypus has a bit of a tighter feel and feels more on ball bearings than the Staccato does, but at the same time, this feels exactly like a 2011 should. It's got a loose enough tolerance to where it doesn't have to get broken in necessarily. It doesn't hang up on the disconnector as I go to the rear. It's got, in my opinion, the better optic mounting system. This doesn't sink the optics down as low as the other two guns necessarily. In fact, it is the highest of the three, but the backup sights that it provide are Dawson Precision sights that make the best sights on pistols, period, as far as I'm concerned. I resisted getting a Staccato for a long time, but they really are kind of the standard that all these style of guns are kind of compared to. You probably won't be disappointed with a Staccato in any way. It is expensive though. I do agree that a $2,500 price point, especially with options coming in sub $2,000, and later this year we'll have options closer to $1,000 made in America. Subscribe and we'll talk about all of this kind of stuff. The price point is high, but the quality that you get is very, very good. So that's a look at the Prodigy Platypus P, and if you have any questions, sound off in the comments. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.